Welcome back, folks. I'm Friz, and today I'd like to take the time to talk about what is going to be coming up in the Dark Archive and what was announced and revealed at Paizocon this year. Now, I'm not going to be able to cover everything in this video, because there was a lot that was announced at Paizocon, so I'm just not going to be able to cover everything. So this is going to be a summary, and I highly suggest going onto Paizo's YouTube channel or Twitch channel and watching the VODs for the Declassifying the Dark Archive playtest and also the Q&A at the end, because those have a lot of information that I'm covering here in more depth, but they're also very long. So let's just jump into it. Alright, so the two biggest pieces of news are relating to the two classes from this book, and honestly, that is probably what a lot of you are here for. So we already knew that the Psychic and Thaumaturge classes were going to be in the book, but we got a lot of new information, so let's just go over those. Alright, so let's talk about the Psychic first. It's going to be very similar to the playtest, but boy did they add some new options. You have the choice of 4 different subconscious minds that decide your key ability score, when compared to the 2 from the playtest. The Precise Discipline and Gathered Lore disciplines are going to be focused on intelligence. Precise Discipline is based on precision and understanding the world, while Gathered Lore is presumably going to be about understanding knowledge, just having knowledge which then changes how the world works. The Emotional Acceptance and Wandering Reverie options are going to be focusing on charisma, and they do about what they say on the 10. There are also 6 different Conscious Mind options with all of their own abilities. Distant Grasp is all about telekinesis, the Silent Whisper deals with telepathy, the Infinite Eye deals with scrying and divination, Tangible Dream deals with creating objects made out of force, while the Oscillating Wave is all about energy and heat. Finally, the Unbound Step deals with a lot of teleportation and phasing through objects. There are going to be an insane amount of stuff in this book, and really, right there, that's 24 different types of Psychic. That is absurd. There is some other stuff that they did announce, which is predominantly that one of the main mechanics of the Psychic, Unleash Psyche, is going to be changed from the playtest because a lot of people weren't very happy with it. There, you could, on your 3rd round of combat, effectively get infinite amounts of focus points for the rest of the fight, but honestly, being able to, be incredibly powerful on the 3rd round or later is a little bit sad because it means you're just weak for the beginning of the fight. And they're changing it, so once you cast a spell on your 1st round, on your 2nd round you can unleash your Psyche. It's not going to be as powerful, but it's much more consistent and it feels a lot better to use. So, good changes in my mind. Generally speaking, the Thaumaturge is going to be pretty similar to what it was in the playtest, which is good because it was in a pretty good spot there. On top of the implements that were already in the playtest, there are going to be 4 more. The Mirror allows for active misdirection and creating of clones, and it's an active implement. The Bell allows for you to react and distract other people whenever they're doing whatever they want to do, because nothing is more distracting than someone right in front of you ringing a bell, like, right in your ear. That is incredibly distracting as someone who has been in a band. The Regalia implement gives passive bonuses to both yourself and others, just due to how fancy you are. It is a passive buffing implement. The Tome implement, though, represents gathering information and revealing, or not revealing, that's the lantern, but just gathering information and helping you understand what is going on around you. The other big change to the class is actually establishing a connection with an enemy to make your strikes deal more damage. I heard a couple of different things that conflict a little bit, but everything that I heard sounded good, so basically take what I'm about to say with a grain of salt because I don't necessarily know if it is exactly true. But it sounds like the Thaumaturge is going to be able to get a lore skill called Esoteric Lore that they can use to establish a connection with a creature to deal additional damage to it. This additional lore skill is going to automatically increase in proficiency as they level up, at level 3, level 7, and level 15 respectively, and it also sounds like the DC that you're using it against is actually based solely on enemy level rather than their actual recall knowledge DC. There is going to presumably be a feat that allows for you to recall knowledge whenever you establish a connection, but I don't believe it is going to be a core part of the class. Again, that is entirely my interpretation of what they said, and not explicitly something that they said. So please go and watch what they said to get your own opinions. Regardless, it sounds really, really good. Alright, so now that we're past all the classes, let's talk about the case files, starting with the Cryptid. There are 8 different case files, and they're all very interesting. Cryptids are a little bit of a weird subject in Galarian, considering that there are literal dragons and zombies and a whole bunch of really, really crazy monsters that are explained. Cryptids are creatures that are hypothesized to be true, but are not proven, which is weird in a world where you can literally scry across the planet. So there are going to be rules for people who have been twisted by creatures that they don't know what they are, and templates that you can apply to existing creatures to make them much more mysterious. One that they showed off is the Rumored template, where you can apply it to a creature, and then that creature is now quite literally a rumor of that creature. That creature is not out in the woods, it is a rumor that got up and started walking. Alright, so the next case file is on cults, which is another one which is kind of weird in a world where gods explicitly exist and are active. So a cult in this sense is not necessarily an evil cult that is trying to take over the world. It absolutely could be, but it's just a section or a subsection of a faith that does things in a very weird way that is non-standard. So they could be worshipping Pharasma in a way that hasn't been done in, I don't know, 6,000 years. It's a very weird and mysterious way of worshipping that deity, but it is still actually worshipping that deity. In terms of rules, there's going to be new focus spells for probably every domain, and you get access to them by being a part of a cult. An example that they gave is for the fire domain, instead of shooting a ray of fire, you can instead light people on fire with your eyes. Really fun stuff. Additionally, there's going to be an archetype in here called the Living Vessel. Living Vessels are characters that have sealed some kind of incredibly powerful entity inside of their body. They get different abilities based on that entity, and they're always going to be fighting for control. Whenever they fall unconscious, the entity takes over and can move them around. I'm sure that having Lovecraftian cosmic horror inside of your body that pilots you like a mech suit whenever you fall unconscious is never going to go wrong, and I love it. The next case file is on secret societies. There are a unreal amount of secret societies in Galarian, like truly an absurd amount, unless Paizo knows things about Earth that they aren't telling us. But there are going to be a ton of rules for participating in a secret society and really feeling like you are a member of a secret society and getting different benefits. There are going to be rules for self-destructing notes, false bottoms, and new skill feats. You can, in combat or out of combat, ask for aid from a secret society, and then things just happen. You don't know how they happened, but they have sleeper agents everywhere. They're behind every corner. Beware. There are going to be some new skill feats that are basically occult skill unlocks from Pathfinder 1e. These are going to be stuff like divining the history of an item simply due to its aura. Skill unlocks in Pathfinder 1e were very cool, and I'm really excited to see how they're implemented into Pathfinder 2e. The next case file covers curses and pacts. There's going to be a whole new witch patron that focuses on making pacts with other creatures, and then they must follow those pacts. So they cannot attack you because they agreed to in the terms and conditions. Gotta love the Devil Witch. There are also going to be a ton of curses and cursed items. 2 that were shown off was a curse or a pact, I'm not sure exactly which one it was, that gives an entity access directly to your stomach. So whenever you eat something or use a consumable item, that being can decide, no, you're not getting the benefits from that item, I'm going to eat it instead. But it also gives that entity the ability to absorb poison. That's part of the give and take of the pact. The other cursed item is Murder Hobo Central, as it is what appears to be a cursed golden swan or goose that whenever you feed it a human heart, it gives you a golden egg that you can sell for money. That is the best way to derail a campaign, or a campaign premise where the PCs are just going to turn into murder, like just straight up murderers for profit. I love it, and boy is that a moral dilemma. Defensibilities is the next case file, and it covers all of the weird abilities that can't really be explained by magic. You know, You walk up next to a weird obelisk in the woods, and now you can levitate things with your mind. It doesn't make any sense. Wizards are going to be very confused as to how you can do it, but you can. Now, this is going to be generally a campaign-specific option that GMs can say, okay, we are using this, or no, we're not using it, like the pervasive magic option, or true names from the Secrets of Magic book. Additionally, to make these abilities stand out from the pre-existing magic, there are going to be rules for overusing them. If you overuse your cool magic telekinesis or lighting people on fire with your eyes, then you're going to suffer explicit drawbacks from them. It's not like you can't use them anymore because you're out of spell slots. You still can. You'll just fuck yourself up. And I really, really like that as someone who likes the kineticist from Pathfinder 1e. Temporal anomalies are going to be getting their whole chapter, which is very reasonable for a world in which time travel exists in many, many different adventure paths. So obviously there are going to be people who are studying it. There's going to be a bunch of rules for additional new time spells. So if you want to play a time wizard, this is going to be the case section for you. Additionally, because there is the time mage archetype, which is going to give you a bunch of abilities based on time. If you want to put people in a time bubble that ages them in an instant, oh, this is the case file for you. But in case you're not really a mage, or you just want weird time shit, the Time Skipper archetype is also going to be for you. It's level 6 archetype that is rare because it's really weird, but it gives you the ability to do a bunch of different time-based shenanigans. Also, keep in mind, you don't actually have to explain why it is that you are a time mage now, or time skipper now. All you have to do is explain it at some point in the future, because time is broken around you. This is kind of weird, but mirrors and doppelgangers are getting their own chapter. It's kind of weird because they're not as prevalent of a trope as the other, sections in this book, but I get it because they terrify me. The idea of looking into a mirror and seeing an alternate version of yourself doing something that is not what you are doing is really creepy, right? Well, how would you like a heritage option for any ancestry that is that you are an actual mirror reflection of someone that walked out of the mirror? There are so many different options for just complete batshit insane storytelling with that, and I adore it. You could be a copy of someone else in the party, or the main antagonist, or maybe the main antagonist is a copy of you. I just love this so much. The final case file covers mindscapes, or environments that are created purely within the minds of individual creatures. Think weird dreamscapes and places where thoughts are quite literally the best form of weapon. There are going to be new rules for psychic duels, which were something in Pathfinder 1e, but it was pretty clunky in that edition, so hopefully it is much better implemented in Pathfinder 2e. Also, there's going to be the Mindsmith archetype, which is most likely in this section. We didn't hear exactly which section it's in, but this is the one where it makes sense. The Mindsmith is kind of like the Soul Forger light version, where rather than creating a weapon from your soul and your dedication to a cause, the Mindsmith just thinks that they have a weapon in their hand, and now they do. It is an incredibly flexible archetype, and it's just super fun and cool. I just like it, okay? So yeah, that's about it. But, well, it's not really all it, but it's all that I have time to cover in this video. Before I forget though, each case file, all of the 8 different ones, are going to have their own unique mini-adventure, which, what the hell, Paizo? 8 mini-adventures in one book on top of 2 different classes, and 8 different case files with a bunch of different PC options and items? What the hell? Come on, Paizo. I mean, then don't stop, please. Don't stop, I really like what you're doing, but what the hell? There's going to be so much stuff, and I'm beyond excited for this book. I really cannot wait for this book to come out and for me to, throw away all of my character concepts in exchange for 10 different new ones. Like I said at the beginning, I highly recommend checking out the videos on Paizo's channel to see what the actual authors said, because they're obviously going to be more correct than me. The Declassifying the Dark Archive video is probably the best source of general information. I really don't have the words to describe the hype that I am feeling currently. Thanks for watching. I know that I wasn't able to get everything that was talked about into this video, but I sadly only have so much time available to me. This is already a bit longer than the other videos that I've been making recently. What do you feel like you are the most excited about when it comes to the Dark Archive? Outside of the actual classes, because obviously I'm the most excited for those, because they're classes, I'm probably the most excited for the Mindscape rules. I have had the idea for a Persona 5 inspired campaign where you go inside of people's minds and those are the dungeons for years now, and those rules could really help make it actually happen. Regardless, until I see you next, live a wonderful life.